And it's like that, and away we go, and down it is. He gets a decent start, but Fabian's already alongside him now into turn 1. And why does the camera zoom in so much on this stupid first corner? Anyway, contact already at the first corner now. Everyone fanning out in the first turn. Fabian and Tice already side by side for second place, but Tice is already looking for the lead on Dan now, heading down towards the camel straight. He has a huge pace advantage in the straight line with a massive slipstream. Here comes Tice down the inside of the camel straight. On the kink, will he make a move? Max goes down a place, and it's almost 3 wide. Max is now weaving across the track, trying to defend from Oliver behind him. He's been very aggressive this race. Oliver almost driven to the back of someone there. Is now Fabian now gets turned around by Dan.
I could not do anything about that there.
And Fabian is now in last place, so it is Dan in second place with Max now up into third down the inside of Dylan into the downhill braking zone there. Into the no-name corner as they head towards Puan now. Tyson who leads though from Dan in second place, Max in third, who now has a very good chance to win the race maybe if he can get ahead of Dan very quickly, but he has got the Aston Martin right behind him of Dylan. He might make a move into Puan here maybe, I don't think he will. So it's the 2 Aston Martins and the 2 Mercedes cars following up Max, Dan and Tyson first, and there's a spin there for Dylan at Puan. He spun, well, I think he was just by himself. We might have run into the back of his teammate, I'm not sure, but he spun around there, and that has given Oliver 4th place. So I think he was actually ahead of him before, so I think he just spun by himself. And now the 2 Mercedes cars are all over the back of the Aston Martin of Oliver, who has just always been just a pawn in the middle of this race, just always in the way of everyone. Causing a bit of a train now. But Fabian's already caught back up to this lead group now with the 2 Mercedes cars in front of him. So Fabian not quite out of contention yet, but it is Tice who leads by 1.7 seconds now. But looking at the closest battle on the track between weaving in the straight, Sander trying to get past, but just Oliver weaving in the braking zone. He's being very dangerous here, as Ian is also right behind this group, and Ian hits the back of his teammate, and Ian spins round his teammate Sander there on the exit of the corner, and Fabian now takes a look at Ian at turn 1. Fabian does make the move down the inside now. And Fabian is in 5th position now. He's overtaken Ian at turn 1, but Ian is still very close to the back of him now. Will he use ERS? So you can see some figures here.
I'm probably gonna dive bomb me from like 710 to back or some shit.
But looking now, we're still there, but Max is still really close to the back of Dan. He does seem to have the pace to overtake him. He looks a little bit quicker down here, but he is not as fast as Tice, who is absolutely dominating this race at this point. This race could do with a red flag then for Fabian's sake, but as you can see, the battle for 4th now intensifying between Oliver and Fabian, who's now close. And there's a big mistake there from Oliver as he gets on the curb and almost spins into the wall, but he does manage to defend. Will Fabian make a move? He's, again, Oliver weaving in the straights. He needs to brake early to watch out for the back of him here, because I think he will probably brake early for that corner, but it is Ian now just watching this battle in front of him, trying to bide his time. But Max it is right on the outside of Dan, but he doesn't manage to make a move there. And there it goes, Fabian ahead of Oliver. Oliver spins. Oh, Fabian spun again. I think they made contact in the braking zone. And a terrible race for Fabian continues as he comes back on the track right in front of Sander. And oh, tight. As Max gets ahead of Dan. He spins around at Stavolo then. He goes around and that gives Dylan 3rd place with Ian right behind him. So Ian now right behind Dylan. Sorry, Oliver I should say. Oliver should get a penalty, I think, for the instance that he's been driving very dangerously so far this race. I think a 5-second penalty might be due at this point. As again he weaves in the braking zone, and down the inside goes Sander now in. Oh sorry, Ian. I keep getting people mixed up. Ian down the inside of Oliver now into the bus stop chicane. Still behind him though, as Oliver retains his place. But it is Tice who leads from 4.5 seconds over Max in second. But Max will need to try something to get close. He has way more ERS than Tice in this race, which will give him some paces. Now Ian makes the move for the podium positions once again, as now Dan is getting close to the back of Oliver as DRS is now enabled, so he will have a chance to maybe use the DRS down into Les Combes now. He's got a big run on Oliver through Radion now. Fabian will now have a bigger job to get back in this race as he closes in on Sander in front of him, and Dan makes an easy pass now for 4th position on Oliver. Dylan is in last place. He spins round as I say that at Radion and almost hits the wall, manages to save it. And Oliver once again now spinning round at the Les Combes chicane. I think he deserves a penalty. He's been doing everything incredibly dangerously so far this race. So 5 seconds for Oliver I think is justified. Fabian now within DRS range of Sander for 5th place. And Ian with Dan right behind him. Can Dan get back in this battle now for 3rd place? So Dan looking pretty quick, but Ian was better in qualifying. Max is still closing the gap in this middle sector on Tice, but only by about 0.3 of a second this lap. So Max has the pace maybe to get in this race winning bracket, but Max, who does set a purple middle sector this lap, if he can just close in the gap to Tice, he is not out of contention today. This is a yellow flag once again now as Sander spins, battling with Fabian maybe there. I'm not sure what's happening here. I keep missing the incidents as they happen. But Dan is still in DRS range of Ian now, going towards the bus stop chicane for this lap. He will get DRS detection now, and he will get DRS down the main straight, which will give him a little bit of an advantage going down towards Le Con. But it is Max who's gained 0.7 of a second on the lead for Tice. Look at the fastest laps here. Oh, it is currently Tice with the fastest lap from Max. It's the second fastest lap. Dan with the third best lap, but Fabian hasn't had a chance here to set a good lap so far. So Fabian now chasing down the leaders in front of him. He has a big gap to make up though of 4.9 seconds to the cars ahead, but Dan is really close this lap to the back of Ian. Through radio now to the outside of the track, down the camel straight with the DRS. Can he make anything happen here? He doesn't have that much ERS relative to Ian, but we'll see what happens here. I think Ian is still with the nose on the inside. He could try and make a dive bomb maybe down in the inside, but no, he won't. He's going to drive smart and keep the position. Yeah, I know. And Ian gets a switchback though, and there's going to be contact almost between the two of them as they headed through here. The corner after Le Con, I still don't know the name of that corner. As they head down, Dan is 8.7 seconds off of the lead too, but Max still gaining time on Tice on this lap, I believe, or is he? I'm not sure. I think he lost a lot of time. Max made a mistake in this lap, as now Sander and Oliver are battling for 6th places. Down the inside goes Sander now to the downhill braking zone through no name corner, and Sander makes the move stick. Oliver tries to go back down the inside, but hits the wall, and he has damage now. Oliver has damage on the right side of his front wing, I believe. And Dylan is 11.5 seconds off of this group in front of him, so he's not really in contention at the moment. But Ian still staying within the DRS range of Dan now, who just overtook him. So it could be another battle between these two, as we've seen so many times this season already. But Max, it is just trying to keep a gap to Tice, who has plenty of time to save ERS and keep a good lap time. But Max, I think, just doesn't quite have the pace, and it's just too far away from Tice to make anything happen. So he needs a safety car for anything to happen in this race, and he just needs to stay in the race. He just needs to bide his time. Maybe in the strategy he can maybe gain some time on Tice, but that's the thing, he can just gain that time back. So as long as Tice doesn't make any mistakes, he could easily get well, he probably won't be able to get up to Tice there, but a bad exit for Ian has lost some time to Dan in front of him, and he gets a pretty, not the best exit out of the first corner down to 9 Will he have the DRS down here? Just about, I think. He just managed to get the DRS at the detection zone. We will watch on board with him now. As he heads up here, he does have the DRS, and that will give him some time as Oliver pits for a new front wing, I believe, because he did make contact with the wall when he was battling with Sander there. But that was his own fault, and the penalty of 5 seconds will be served after the race, I believe, because he cannot serve that in the race at the moment. So it is Ian then. Oh, Dan makes a little bit of a mistake there, did he? As he came over the curb, the car looked a little bit loose through there, a little bit of oversteer. He had to correct it just a little bit, but still, Ian within half a second of Dan this lap. He just seems to have some good pace, does Ian here, as he's really close to the back of Dan, who is. So Ian is very fast in sector 2, which will give him some advantages. Once again, Max is gaining time on Tice in front of him, only a little bit this lap though. So if Max could just give just about 4/10 a lap for the next few laps, he can probably get some decent pace here. He really runs a wide line through that corner, and that's not going to help him, as Ian is really close this lap to the back of Dan now in this middle sector, but he just doesn't have the straight line speed. I think his setup was slightly more downforce than Dan, which is why he's so good in that middle sector. But I think most of the lap time will come in the first and last sector anyway, because of the long flat out sections. But it is, yeah, Dan pulling away in the straights. It goes a bit wide there at Blanchimont. That will actually give Ian a little bit of time back, because he gets under 0.5 of a second now, heading into the bus stop chicane. Very late braking from Ian. He does actually gain a lot of time as Dan brakes too early there, I think, going into that corner. On the exit the corner as well, Ian does get a good exit this lap, but Dan used a lot of the curve to get a better exit there. Ian is really close. Fabian is now in this battle as well. Fabian is within DRS range of both of these cars. Fabian looks to be one of the fastest cars on the track, but just doesn't have the clean air to get past these guys. So Fabian isn't completely out of this race yet. If there's a red flag or a safety car, he is very much back in this lead picture. If you can just get past these two cars in front of him very quickly, he has a chance here. But Ian is very close to Dan, but Fabian has a massive run here behind him as well with the DRS on Ian now. But Ian is just going to use that DRS to close the gap. Not going to close in too much. He's within 4/10 though. As he uses some ERS on the entry to the corner. That was strange. As they head through here now. And once again, Dan makes a mistake, and he's very loose off the corner. Fabian will also gain time, has to go off the track to avoid Ian there. But these three are within half a second of each other now. And oh, Fabian hits the back of Ian and spins him round.
5 seconds. 5 seconds for Fabian then, I guess.
I think it was very. I don't know what to say about that. I think I don't know what to give Fabian for that incident, because that was very light contact. That was Fabian was right behind Ian.
Yeah, no, Ian is now 10 seconds behind us.
Yeah, I think that is a 5-second penalty for Fabian then. So 5 seconds for Oliver and 5 seconds for Fabian are the only penalties gifted out in this race so far.
First race, in the first lap of this red flag restart, my game was lagging a lot. And I didn't hit Fabian on my screen, but he did spin. And yeah, I couldn't really do anything about it. So that was like worth 5 seconds as well.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do anything really.
No, I know, but you did spin.
As Oliver, I think, left this race.
Yeah, I know, but if my game freezes...
Fabian is all over the back of Dan now. Who did?
I don't know, it didn't look like it though.
Who spun by themselves? Oh yeah, flags are out here. Why is there a yellow? Oh, it's a DNF for Oliver now as he has left the session.
Hey, wait a minute. The weather's getting darker.
Why did he DNF?
Is it gonna rain? It could rain today.
Weather reports.
Why did Oliver DNF?
Yeah, it's gonna rain.
The rain is coming here at Spa. The clouds are really coming in fast here. The track has really become overcast quickly in this last lap. So we could see some rain here at Spa for the second time in this league. We saw it in season 1 and we're seeing it here now. Could be a wet race here at Spa.
There's gonna be rain.
The weather does say for all the teams and drivers that there will be rain coming in 10 minutes.
I don't know how many laps. I can't.
It could be within the next 5 laps, which will make this strategy really interesting here. Will anyone try and pit for dry tyres? I don't think there's any point. People might have to extend their stints here with the rain threat coming, as Fabian is really close to the back of Dan this lap. Fabian has so much more ERS as well, so it's looking like a very good race. It's down, almost hits the wall there at Stavelo. Coming towards Blanchimont now. It looks like Fabian will have to be patient, because if he overtakes now, it wouldn't be a very good idea, because he just won't have the straight line speed to fend off Dan down the Camel Straight.
Though, but I guess I can stay out one more lap.
Oh no, Dan.
Yeah.
You know Sander, Belgium, Mercedes and Ray?
Fabian once again right over the back of his opponent here. He just literally just pushes them around the corner, and that's why Ian spun around, and that's why he has a penalty now. But Fabian is close to the back of Dan now.
And Belgium is not a
Fabian probably letting frustration set in, as he has really been struggling this race, but Max has the pace to stick with Tice here. So if there's rain and Tice makes a mistake, for example, Max is right back up in there in this race. So the rain is coming. As you can see, the clouds even now once again forming above Radio, and you can see how dark the track is now. As there's a massive run from Fabian down here. Where's he going to go? To the inside. That's an easy DRS overtake there from Fabian on Dan down the straight. As the yellow flag is out, as Max has spun out of second place at Les Combes now. He has spun round by himself. He's lost about 5 seconds of time, and that is not good. And the rain is coming. I saw an effect there. The rain is coming down. Rain is here. When will the first pit stops come? I think it's okay to stay out for another lap here, but someone might take a risk at the back of the field. Maybe Dylan, for example, could try and pit now, as he almost spins at Radion again. So the driver with the most ERS at the moment is actually a tie between Tice and Sander, as they both have 100% ERS here. So the rain is now coming down a little bit more. So Max in second place with that mistake could have costed him massively. Maybe.
Hey, I'm gonna stay out one more lap.
I do believe the best strategy at the moment would be to stay out one more lap, but if the rain intensifies a little bit here, this could see complete chaos if people try and stay out too long. As Dylan's actually gaining a lot of time on Sander this lap. I've noticed he gained about 2 seconds. Ian's going to pit this lap. He has nothing to lose here. He's in the middle of he's kind of in no man's land here. 11 seconds away from the cars in front and behind him. So he might be better off just trying to pit here. But Max it is though. Will he try and pit on this lap? Max, no, he stays out. That's fair enough. Fabian's pitting. Fabian pits. A very brave strategy is Dylan has just spun out by himself. And he's going to pit now as the rain might start to intensify over the course of the lap, and the Red Bull mechanics are also pitting. So Dan and Fabian pitting here from third position. They might as well. They will lose time, but they haven't got anyone behind them to worry about, so it is worth it. As Dan now coming onto the track right behind Fabian, and Ian now pits as well. Will Sander pit this lap? He doesn't. Sander's staying out now, as Dylan is going to probably come to the pit lane this lap, so we're going to see how this goes. Tice makes a mistake there. DRS has been disabled, so the rain is coming down heavy enough for that to be a problem. There's no grip on the track at the moment. People like Max are going to really be struggling here in these wetter conditions, as Max has gained a lot of time on Tice's lap. He made a mistake. Tice just needs to trundle around a little bit slower, and he will get back to the pit lane with decent pace, but it is the intermediate tyre that seems to be the better option at the moment. Fabian might get within a pit stop of Max here if he makes another mistake. So Fabian is in a net P2 potentially now, but it is Tice who's leading. Tice is really slow. This could be massive for the race because now Fabian is closing in a little bit on these leading cars. He's gaining time on Max. I don't know about on Tice though. 5.8 seconds down on this lap on pace. You can see the rain, coming down quite a lot now. So Tice really just doesn't have any pace. Fabian is gaining time on Max ahead of him, so Fabian is potentially in a net P2 then, with Max in second place. So this could be really interesting now. Max is really struggling for pace. He's made another mistake here. He half spun down at Stavolo there, and now Tice is going to come into the pit lane. This is a crucial part of the race. Max also then going wide down there as he's using ERS to try and gain time, but he has to pit now for intermediate tyres. Will he be? He's going to definitely be under pressure from Fabian now. Fabian is going to get into second place here, I think. There's a yellow flag as Sanders. What happened though? I think Sanders spun out. Yes, he did. Down there, and the yellow flags are out. Everyone's struggling for grip. As Sander has no grip on his medium tyres in these wet conditions. He's trying to go flat out through, but he just cannot do that. This is crucial. Max is in the pit lane. He's still in his pit stop as Fabian comes down the main straight. So Fabian actually could be in second place now. It's going to be tight. Max comes out the pit lane. Fabian's heading through the first corner, so down the straight. Fabian will be all over the back of Max. He's not quite close enough to get right up to the back from here, but Fabian is within 2.5 seconds of Max, and he will have the momentum down the main straight. Or sorry, down the back straight of the camel straight, heading up towards Rouge and Radion. But Max it is in second place, and he's pushing to get closer to Max now on this straight. Max though has got a lot more ERS than him, so Tice just has to literally just coast around here. He's 11.5 seconds in the lead, so he hasn't got much to worry about. As long as he doesn't spin, Tice is in with a very good chance obviously to win this race. 11.5 seconds in the lead, but it is Max who's the cork in the bottle for this battle for third, or sorry, even for second place, as Max is just trying to buy this time. The rain might get heavier as the race progresses. We will see how that goes. We've got to keep an eye on the weather, but the intermediates are definitely the best tyre right now. So Fabian pitting for the inters on that lap was actually the right strategy, because the first sector is mostly and Max made a massive mistake, and that means that Fabian will go around the outside for second place. Will Max get that position back? He looks for a move on the inside line. He does get the move because Fabian left the door open there. They're side by side through the S-bend. Dan is losing time to this group in front of him as Max looks once again to the inside of Fabian now as he loses second place. Fabian's tough race now continuing, and Max makes another mistake as he heads towards Stavolo. And Max it is still in still in third place on the podium positions, but Dan has now gained time on him as he's struggling in these wet conditions. He's never been the best in wet conditions, Max, and this is the first race in this league he has been in wet conditions. But it is Tice who leads. Fabian already gaining time on him though, so Fabian maybe even back in this race, if you can just gain some more time, and Tice, if he makes a mistake, Fabian will be all over the back of him. So this is very much not over yet, but Max staying within touching distance. Obviously DRS has been disabled, so being within a second it will only just give you the slipstream, but Max has so much more ERS than Fabian, about 20% more, but still they're pretty high on ERS, all these guys. But Tice still just gaining time in the first corner. Tice is very quick in these conditions, it seems. But look at Max, so he is the closest battle on the track. He's right behind the back of Fabian now, going through Eau Rouge and Radion. He's going to use ERS, he'll get a slingshot down the straight. We're going to go aboard him now as he heads down here. The slipstream isn't as powerful in the rain, it seems, and also he hasn't got the straight line speed to compete, so will he try and move down here? He doesn't, he brakes early, just try, but this time rides a lot of the curb. He just needs to be really careful in these wet conditions. But Fabian is gaining time on Tice a little bit here in the first sector.
Struggling in wet conditions here.
Dan is struggling in the wet conditions. He's struggling to keep in touching distance of the cars in front of him. He's 2.5 seconds almost down. He is 2.5 seconds now as he makes a little bit of a mistake going through no name corner. We're just trying a different line through there, but Max also struggling to stay behind Fabian. He's really fast, it seems. And in fact, Max is about to spin into the wall. He does spin into the wall. He breaks his front wing. Will that be a safety car? We'll see if that. We'll see what happens. Maybe a virtual. We'll see. Max has just crashed into the wall, and that has really curtailed his race. He's got Dan behind him though. Will Max stay out?
Increased. Max has to pit again.
Fabian is 2 seconds a lot faster than Tice at this rate. He's really fast on these intermediate tyres in the wet conditions, so Fabian actually within a chance of winning the race perhaps. If he doesn't make a mistake, he's gaining even more time. Fabian is really lightning fast in these conditions.
Fabian has full traction control, that's why he's fast.
So Fabian with the traction control has a massive advantage over Tice to the medium as he goes wide at turn 1 does Tice. Tice using all the track trying to maybe gain time, but I think that was just a mistake. Max is not pitting because I think he feels like he can fend off Dan without a front wing, which is quite funny as he heads down to turn 1.
He has half front wing.
No, on my screen he has no front wing. Oh no, he doesn't. That's weird. He didn't. Only lost half his front wing was that impact, because on my screen it looked like his entire front wing came off with the particle effect there. So everyone else in the back of the field seems to struggle in the conditions, but they're all keeping consistent gaps. The closest battle on the track is Max to the back. Oh, sorry, down to the back of Max, but Fabian is rapidly closing in on Tice for the race lead. So if Fabian can just bide his time, he actually will be in contention to win this race. As he did in season 1, he closed a lot of time on the race leader, so but he wasn't quite fast enough to gain enough to win the race. So we'll see what Fabian can do this time. Once again, though, gaining lots of time on Tice in this lap, as Dan again really close to Max, who has damage. So we'll keep an eye on that battle. But look at Dan, he's really right behind Max now through these corners. He just has a little bit more pace now with no damage on his car, of course. But Max battling for a podium, his first of the season. He hasn't finished a race this season yet, I don't think. So we'll see if Dan can get his I don't know how many podiums he has at this point. I'd say probably a 4th podium of the season thereabouts, but maybe 3rd. Dan right behind Max. He makes a mistake a little bit there, trying to get on the power to get past him, but he has a move on the inside line. He's going to try and move maybe to Stavolo. There's no way to go around there. So again, Fabian is literally 2 seconds faster than Tice. Fabian is actually the best contender to win right now, as Dan really struggling in these conditions to stay behind Max in the straight line. Now he will gain time in the straight. That Rebel is rapid in the straight lines. Lifting just a little bit through Blanchimont now. Fabian gaining 2.5 seconds at least per lap on Tice. Absolutely rapid, but Tice has the fastest lap, so he'll get an extra point for that, surely, unless the rain dies down towards the end of the race. But Fabian it is who leads the way. Sorry, Tice rather, but Fabian could be leading very shortly. He's very fast in the middle sector with that traction control advantage. And oh damn, it's a big mistake on the exit of turn 1 there at La Source. Almost spinning into the wall, but he does save the car. And now he's over a second behind Max. He does have damage, but he's holding on to a very key 3rd place in his race. Fabian is so fast in these conditions, but it's still raining quite hard. We could maybe see a transition to extremes in this race, but we'll see how that goes. As you can see, Dylan just behind Sander. Oh, sure, why don't we just put dynamic weather on for this league? I just realised.
What?
We should just put dynamic weather on.
No.
Might as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
Once again, Fabian is so fast in the middle sector, just gaining literally 2 seconds a lap on the race leader. So at this rate, Fabian is in with a fantastic chance to win this Grand Prix. He is by far the fastest car on track without any question. So look at again, Dan closing the gap in this middle sector where the front wing damage from Max.
5 seconds. He didn't strip that in the pit lane.
Oh yeah, of course. So Fabian has 5 seconds. So if he does take the lead, he needs to pull a gap of 5 seconds. But at this pace, he will easily manage to do that. So as long as it doesn't get dry again at the end of the race, Fabian could still win. So we'll see how that goes. Fabian looking for his first career victory since France season 1. Yeah, he hasn't won in a very long time in this league. He has 1 career victory at France in season 1, which was a very dominant drive actually. As once again, Fabian gains around 2 seconds of lap time, getting the gap down to 5.8 seconds. as Tice on his way through this. So once again, still watching Dan as he chases third place from Max. Podium position for both these guys is very plausible. Max is looking for his first podium, and Dan looking to close in the gap maybe to Tyson first in the championship, but I doubt that'll happen in this position. But all points will count because he has got a lot of threats around him, does Dan, in this Drivers' Championship, such as Fabian, who is in front of him. So it's looking very close, but the 5-second penalty for Fabian might be holding him back a little bit here. The weather report once again. It looks like the rain has actually cleared up a bit here this lap. I'm not sure if I'm just seeing things, but the spray looks a little bit better, and so does the track conditions. So maybe this advantage for Fabian will die down a little bit. But it does look like it's still raining, so that's the important thing. The rain has died down in severity, I think, but the track is still wet. So Fabian is really fast in these conditions. The traction control advantage is absolutely massive. No matter what Tice tries, he just seems to have a huge pace advantage, does Fabian, in this race. So with 9 laps to go, coming up on 8 this lap, Fabian has a good chance to win the race here. He gets in the power so well on these corners. Gains like 0.2 of a second each turn he goes through in this middle sector, but as you can see now, Dan once again right on the back of Max within 0.2 of a second, I think. Right behind him as he heads down towards Stavlo. This will be a good opportunity into the final chicane to maybe make a move on Max, who does have a lot more ERS than Dan at this point. 92% for Max versus 51% for Dan, but here comes Dan now down the straight trying to gain time using the ERS. Max is weaving in the straight trying to break the toe, but once again Fabian's advantage that lap wasn't as big. He only gained a second, but he can see Tice right in front of him though, so Fabian's setting great times here.
I think Max drives with 4 traction control as well.
No, he doesn't. Max tries with traction control off.
What the heck?
I don't know how he does it, to be honest. Yeah.
I said, how is he? Not how.
So Fabian is still really close to Tice. Just can't afford to make any mistakes here because that will cost him the race win, obviously. But even still, Fabian has that 5-second time penalty. But Fabian is 3.8 seconds off the lead now, and he has gained a lot of time in this first sector of this lap. Tice has the ERS to defend, but he just needs to really yeah, this is a pretty crazy race so far though. The positions really got shaken up in the opening laps, but for Tice to win, the rain needs to stop. But oh, Max makes a mistake there, and that gives Dan the position. I'm not sure what happened. I was watching Fabian closing in, but Dan has got ahead of Max, but Max does have the pace, I think, maybe to get back past. But with the damage in this middle sector, Dan will probably gain time on him here, so this could be interesting. Will Dan pull away enough? Max using some of his ERS that he has been saving this race. Understeer is becoming really bad for Max as he goes wide at Puan. That will cost him a lot of time. Fabian is within 2.6 seconds of Tice. He's gained about 1.5 seconds. There's more like 2 seconds this lap on Tice in front of him, so you can still... Fabian's starting to gain more and more time. But in this condition, Tice is really, really struggling, and Fabian is really fast in these conditions. So Fabian has a chance to win here. If Fabian were to win this race, I guarantee he would get driver of the day, because he has come from the back of the field after a terrible start to this race to being within touching distance of Tice, who has been untouchable in the dry conditions. And Fabian was very fast in the dry, but just didn't have the gap to stay close enough because of the mistakes he was making and the cars around him that were making contact with him. But Fabian needs this weather to persist for him to win this race. But there go Tice gaining a little bit of time at the first corner. Might be a little bit of a confidence booster this lap. But I think this is the lap where Fabian will get within a second of him. Max all over the back of Dan.
Hoeveel rondjes kan je maximaal op soft rijden?
6 rondjes, ja, maar nee, dan ben je aan het eind van de race dood. Met je nieuwe
Max using the ERS down the camel straight, right behind Dan now. Max has a massive slipstream down the straight. Can he make a move? Is he close enough? Not quite, but he will gain a lot of time down there.
Yeah, okay, dus I'm still the best last tire, which
Very
I
careful on the
can
brakes. But look at this. Fabian is really close to Tice this lap. 1.5 seconds between the two of them. 1.3, 1.2. Only closing in more and more as the laps go down. At this rate, Fabian is in with a chance to win if the rain persists. So this is interesting. Tice needs to use his ERS at this point if he wants to win this race, because he has 100% versus 72% for Fabian. So it's really important for Fabian to just, or for Tice to use some of the